which is meant to be an answer to NVIDIA's higher-end Pascal GPUs, the likes of the GTX 1070 and 1080. Up until now, AMD's only put out cards at the sub $300 price point with the RX 460, 470, and 480, which really went after the low to mid-end market of graphics cards. So this will be AMD's answer for the enthusiast side of graphics cards, which many people have been waiting for to come out, and I'm really excited to get these cards in and test them here for you on the channel. AMD recently held a behind closed door event for the press where they showed Vega running a Doom demo on the Vulkan API at 4K and ultra settings. During the demo, the Vega graphics card was getting over 60 frames per second at 4K Ultra and actually edging out the likes of an overclocked GTX 1080, which is certainly no easy feat. Granted, it was running on the Vulkan API, so we certainly will have to get this card in and test it further once it does become available against the GTX 1080 and see what it can do in DX11 and DX12, because we know that the AMD cards traditionally have held up a lot better in the low overhead APIs like DirectX 12 and Vulkan, which could very likely make this a better graphics card for the future, but we will have to test against the 1080 to see what is also the best graphic card for right now, as there really aren't that many titles out there that are really fully utilizing and taking advantage of the likes of Vulkan and DirectX 12. Another thing worth noting is that because all of the systems were completely taped shut so that the press couldn't get a hold of any pictures of the graphics card in action, that could have also impacted the performance that we were seeing on the GPU. So we will have to see how these cards are actually running in a full system with good ventilation. If you remember just this past week on TGW, Steve and I had actually talked about a leak that had showed what people were theorizing was the RX 490 running on the ashes of the Singularity benchmark, where they had showed a device ID of 687F:C1 in place of the GPU because it didn't have a registered name yet. And now we actually have confirmation as a result of these Vega leaks that that was the actual card that was being tested on ashes of the Singularity. As we can see in the overlay that's built into Doom, we can see the ID of the card as 687F:C1, the exact same one that was on the ashes of the Singularity benchmark. So certainly very interesting to see. We will have to see, see more as this card becomes available. I'm sure we'll be getting news probably pretty soon, as the AMD Horizon event is happening tomorrow. We're expecting to see the launch, or at least more details about Zen. Not necessarily the launch, but we're expecting to see AMD showing off the Zen GPU. Maybe we will see the likes, maybe Zen paired with Vega in AMD's showing tomorrow. That would be very interesting to see. That's what I had theorized last week on TGW as a possibility when we were talking about the RX 490. So that could certainly be a possibility at the Horizon event tomorrow. I'd love to get your guys' feedback though on this down in the comments below. If are you excited about Vega, Zen? Are you waiting for Vega and Zen to come out before you decide to do your upgrade and pick which side you're going to go with, Intel, AMD, Nvidia, or otherwise? So please let me know down in the comments below what you think about these initial numbers on Doom at 4K using the Vega GPU. But I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. If you do want to check out any of the sources for today's video, I will be leaving a link down in the description below. But I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ra.
Hey guys, yes, it's me again, on a Tuesday this time, but last time I did this Jax on a Tuesday thing, you guys were very disturbed at my attempt at that, so I won't do that again. Let's do the tech news. AMD held their Capsaicin and Cream event today, and it was a little less exciting than we hoped. There was no Vega reveal other than the fact that the upcoming GPUs will indeed be named Radeon RX Vega, but there were a number of intriguing announcements and demos. First off, there was a Deus Ex demo showing a 50% increase in FPS when using Vega's high bandwidth cache controller feature, and another demo showing double the hair strands being rendered using Vega's rapid packed math feature. So much hair. AMD also announced a deal with Bethesda to implement Vulkan support in their titles. Doom got a sizable performance boost on AMD hardware with Vulkan, so this sounds like great news. LiquidSky, a PC game streaming platform, will also use Vega GPUs to supercharge its service, hoping to provide some big competition to NVIDIA's GeForce Now. There was some more stuff about increased support for VR-specific technologies, but the real important bit was the announcement of Sprint Vector, a new game by the developers of Raw Data. If you're interested in all the nitty-gritty details, make sure you hit up the news sources linked in the description. Raspberry Pi has come out with a new computer that is even smaller than before. It's the Raspberry Pi Zero W, the follow-up to the Raspberry Pi Zero that came out in October 2015. It's been a year since Raspberry Pi announced their last product, the Raspberry Pi 3, and the Foundation's newest model includes wireless connectivity as well as Bluetooth. It has the same specs as the original, a 1 GHz single-core Broadcom BCM2835 CPU, 512 megabytes of RAM, but of course with the addition of 802.11 and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.0. The original Pi Zero will stay at $5, while this new model will get a $10 price tag for those new features. And YouTube has just announced YouTube TV, a $35 per month subscription TV service that packages a bundle of channels from broadcast networks like Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC, as well as cable channels related to those broadcasters like ESPN and Bravo. The service will get its own app separate from YouTube Red, and it's expected to be mobile first, so most people will be watching from their phones, but will have the option to watch on laptops and TVs through Chromecast as well. YouTube boasts that this new service includes a cloud DVR with unlimited storage space, a recommendation system powered by Google AI, and that it's a more reliable and steady platform than its competitors. The company is also hoping to start up relationships with Time Warner, maybe in the future, to get some HBO content. But of course, this is only going to be available in US at some point this spring. We'll see if YouTube cares about the rest of the world eventually. It's time for shorter news stories that more quickly than the others. A new report from Wall Street Journal says that Apple's next generation iPhone will ditch the Lightning port connector in favor of the industry standard USB-C connection. Oh, and it's only just the beginning. The Xbox One has just added a new way to play old titles, and it's called Xbox Game Pass, which is another Netflix for games concept, allowing you to access a library of around 100 games from both Xbox 360 as well as the One for $10 a month. Amazon is currently working on a feature that will help its digital assistant, Alexa, recognize and distinguish between multiple voices. Apparently, LG is going to reveal a headset based on Valve's VR platform at GDC, which is happening right now. And that's exciting because LG's last VR headset for their G5 phone was one of the worst things I've experienced, so it's only up from here, LG. Kingston's 2 terabyte USB drive was revealed at CES this year, and now they are ready to ship what is the world's highest capacity USB drive. There's a 1 terabyte version for only $940 American, and the 2 terabyte model costs $1,620. Sources for all of today's news stories can be found in the NCIX forum post linked in the description. There is only one shutdown, you know? Hey guys, just a reminder that it's the last day of February, and so we will be announcing the winner of Fans with Benefits and the newsletter prize, which is a Fractal Design prize pack, tomorrow. To be entered for the prize, subscribe to the newsletter, and if you already are subscribed, claim your newsletter rewards for this month. Click down below for the link so you can do that and be entered for some sick prizes. Alright, that's it for NetLink Daily. Thank you so much for watching. Click over here for previous videos, and check us out on Twitter over here. But as always, like the video if you liked it, comment below for Fans with Benefits, and subscribe for more videos like this from NCIX. And now, I shall be.
You guys loved our review of the Dell Inspiron 7559 from last year, where I gave it a solid recommendation for its wolf in sheep's clothing, wicked gaming performance, and its understated looks, not to mention price. Now, over the last year, Dell has been hard at work tweaking that formula, and they've even gone as far this time as to include gaming in the product name. But have those tweaks actually added up to anything substantial? Let's check it out. Browse privately and securely with TunnelBear, the simple VPN app. Try TunnelBear for free at the link in the video description. The Inspiron Gaming has a red matte finish with mean-looking triangles on the front and the back. Hexagons are very 2016, as I've been recently informed. It mostly avoids an over-the-top look like some gaming laptops, but it is red. Though, if that's too shouty for you, there's a black version available as well. It's clear that thinness wasn't a top priority for Dell here. With lesser specs than the latest MacBook Pro, it's nearly double the thickness. But, assuming they used the extra space for cooling, I can't be too critical, especially if the intent is for users to game on it for long periods at a time. The build quality is great for a budget segment laptop. The chassis feels solid and the screen flex is about what you'd expect. Opening the lid is easy and the hinge moves smoothly. If you took this thing 10 years back in time and told someone it costs less than $1,000, they wouldn't believe you. We've come a long way. The I/O is more traditional than most laptops these days as well. It's unlikely that you'll have to reach for a dongle. Though, I will say, at least having the option for a Type-C or Thunderbolt port on a premium config would have been welcome. Our model is not the cheapest, but it hits a really nice sweet spot with just enough of pretty much everything for gaming, and without spending extra money on an i7, for example, that doesn't make games run faster. I mean, that money could go towards buying books or beer. And gaming performance is really solid. The included 60Hz TN panel looks pretty good for a TN, with above average viewing angles from side to side, again for a TN. And on high settings at 1080p, which happens to be its native resolution, this laptop plowed through our test lineup comfortably, meaning that in between homework and Facebook, you should be able to run modern AAA titles without issue. Thanks in no small part to the strong performance of the Inspiron Gaming's cooling system. During our I/64 stress test, it was not only able to keep the CPU at a relatively comfortable 80 degrees, but the i5 was able to use its turbo boost the whole time too, meaning performance won't dip after a couple of minutes of gaming. It was far from silent, but wasn't disruptive, and it's much quieter than a thin and light gaming machine like a Razer Blade. And if that sounds good to you, you'll be happy to know the speakers are better than you might expect as well. The internal subwoofer doesn't add as much depth to the sound as the subs in their XPS laptops several years ago did, but overall clarity is good until some distortion creeps in at nearly full volume, as long as you're right in front. They're highly directional, so if a diminished off-axis movie watching experience is a real turnoff for your friend, you might not be doing any chilling while you Netflix. Though, even if you have to be by yourself, at least you'll be doing it for a long time. Battery life came in at a very impressive 6 hours and 48 minutes, one of the best results we've ever seen in our PC Mark work benchmark. And more good news, just like its predecessor, it's easy to get inside. All it takes is one screw. Okay, I'll stop that now. And as an SSD-only model, ours has a completely free hard drive bay with mounting hardware and a cable included, as well as an empty RAM slot. Dell really couldn't make this any easier. Moving back to the outside, the keyboard feels very similar to previous Inspiron models, but nicer. The keystrokes are short with a pleasant click and avoid being mushy. Spacing is a strong point, and there's a full numpad with appropriately laid out arrow keys. The red backlighting isn't bright enough to be having an Inspiron-inspired dance party with it or anything, but it's functional. And if you're actually in the dark, you'll be able to read the keys. Can't complain. The trackpad is also quite good. The feel of the click isn't super consistent from the top to the bottom, but it performs accurately at high sensitivity settings, and it does a great job of figuring out when I have my thumb at the bottom for clicking, as opposed to when I'm trying to use multi-touch. Now let's talk about what you are not getting with a value model like this. The first unfortunate compromise is the 1x1 Wi-Fi, giving me a maximum speed of around 20 megabytes per second in my data transfer test. So if you want fast downloads, you will have to wire in. The storage is also rather slow. It is an M.2 drive and it is an SSD, but it runs at SATA speeds, not PCIe speeds. And finally, the screen is far from the most vibrant and high contrast that I've seen. Now that IPS is the standard, even a decent TN looks washed out by comparison. So who is this laptop for then? Well, unsurprisingly, the Dell Inspiron Gaming is a great value laptop for people who want to game and need the portability of a laptop. For $850, you could build a better performing desktop that is more upgradable, but you can't exactly take that to class or wherever it is that you might need it. So if you're looking for something to buy that's inexpensive and works well before heading off to university or college, the Inspiron Gaming packs everything that you're likely to need into a pretty nice little container. Or box. FreshBooks. These guys are awesome. But it's not about how they're awesome. It's about how you're awesome. If you're running a business, whether it's, a dance studio out of your garage or plumbing or small-time computer repair, you probably would like to be spending your time being awesome, teaching people to dance, fixing computers, and not spending your time tooling around with complicated accounting software. FreshBooks lets you organize your time by allowing you to track expenses, track work hours, send out invoices, accept payments through the platform, and even see when a client has seen your invoice, putting an end to guessing games. So check it out with an unrestricted 30-day free trial by going to freshbooks.com/techtips and enter Linus Tech Tips in the How Did You Hear About Us section. Thanks for watching, guys. If this video sucked, you know what to do. But if it was awesome, get subscribed, hit the like button, check out the link to where to buy the stuff we featured in the video description, and also down there you can check out our merch store and our community forum. Now that you're done doing all that stuff, you're probably wondering what to watch next, so watch another one of our videos. Maybe another Linus Tech Tips, or Tech Quickie, or Channel Super Fun. We have so many channels. Just whatever you do, don't watch cat tips.
This is an exciting time to be a PC hardware enthusiast. Ryzen is right around the corner, Vega is on the way, and we are here right now at the NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti launch. NVIDIA claims this is the biggest improvement from a Ti series launch ever, and that makes sense, as the 1080 and the 1080 Ti have almost nothing in common at all. They aren't based on the same GPU, they aren't running the same memory bus width. I mean, the Ti even has 2 power connectors to the standard 1080's 1. This is an exciting but probably really expensive day. Let's run through all of the things that we know about NVIDIA's new flagship.
The new Master Keys Pro M RGB and Pro S White from Cooler Master are coming soon. Check out their current lineup at the link below.
First off, let's dive into the specs. As you might have expected, this card is a lot closer to the Titan XP than it is to a standard GTX 1080. But even then, it's not that close. It has the same GP102 core, and it shares the same amount of CUDA cores at 3584, the same 12 billion transistors and 224 texture units with the same TDP of 250 watts. But then the clock speed is slightly higher at 1600 megahertz for boost, and there are a few less ROPs at 88 instead of 96. There are also changes in terms of I/O. NVIDIA removed the DVI connector and replaced it with nothing. That's right, folks. NVIDIA has abandoned DVI and left the user with 3 display ports and 1 HDMI port. For your convenience, they have included a DisplayPort to DVI adapter in the box, however, so you've got that going for you, which is nice. But moving on, regardless, we've got the memory setup, which is also a little bit odd. You've got 11 gigs of GDDR5X VRAM running at 11 gigabits per second. They've accomplished this through channel optimization, equalization techniques, and having minimal noise. But that, my friends, is not the whole story for memory. They've also implemented tiled caching, which should improve cache locality and reduce memory traffic overall by better utilizing their L2 cache. Then there's the new thermal design with vapor chamber cooling and 2x the cooling area as, I'm assuming, the 1080, as they didn't actually specify. This is not the same cooler as the Titan XP, and they promise increased performance over that as well. The benchmark that they gave us put a 1080 running at higher than normal TDP and well above the standard max temperature spec NVIDIA usually sets against a 1080 Ti that was running below its TDP and again at a higher than normal temperature. So I guess we'll wait till we get it back in the office to really judge it there. They also have a new 7-phase